Right. So again, thank you so much for joining us for our webinar on what's new in SugarCRM 7.10, the newest release. We're going to go over just a couple of things here, like new features, and actually show you some of the new features. And there are also some bug fixes, of course, and other things that have been addressed in this release. Hello, my name is Sonia Friedel, president here at BrainSell, and I'm joined by Kevin Cook. Are you there, Kevin?
Hello. I don't know. Let me check. I've got a Sugar app that'll tell me. Yes,
You're live.
I am here. Yes, I'm here. Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us. Kevin is far more technical than myself and is really amazing at Sugar. So he'll be walking us through the live demonstration. And we hope to keep this about a half an hour or under, really nice and short for you all so you can get along in your day. So we'll just kind of do a bit of a spoiler here and go over what are some of the top features, and then we'll actually go into a live demo and show you some of the more interactive features.
Yeah.
So, improved UI. What is Sidecar? Well, for those of you who have been using Sugar for maybe just a year or two, this is how you know it. From the screenshot, this view here is what you know about Sugar. Well, it didn't always used to be this pretty. It used to be a different user interface, not as updated.
Yeah.
And
I had a customer just last week who is still on Sugar 5. Sugar 5.
Must be on premise.
Yeah, they are.
That's crazy. Well, for those of you who are not on premise and you host this in Sugar's cloud, that wasn't an option. You're on at least 7.8 as a version. And from that old user interface, there were some old screens that were left over in the current product. If you remember, like emails, reports, bugs, some of those were outdated and have been improved. Now, even more of the interface has been brought up to date. I thought it was kind of funny. They didn't bring the whole thing up to date. That was a big job. So now we've got even more consistent UI here. So under contracts, currencies, manufacturing, and emails, right? Because emails.
That's right. That's right. The emails module.
Interface.
The emails module looks like the rest of the tool. The rest of the tool. All these new modules all these existing modules that have been brought into the latest architecture now look like the rest of the tool.
Yeah.
And the ones you just put out there, the contracts and quotes and other things, are all now up to the Sugar 7.x standard, which is great.
Great. One more thing that I think this is probably the most exciting thing in the release is drill down reports. They call them drill through reports.
Yep.
I think, and this isn't just for, I guess it is just for dashboarding purposes, Kevin, or when you're on an actual report, does it drill down?
No, when you're on an actual report, anytime you see a chart, I'll show you later, but anytime you see a chart, especially when you're grouping, then you'll be able to drill down into that. And here's a fun fact Wednesday. Fun fact, Wacky Wednesday. Years and years ago, Sugar did have the ability to drill down. And for technical reasons that are beyond me, they lost it, but now they've added it back in a big way. And so now you can drill down. This is a feature that customers have been asking about for a long time, and now it's back in the tool, and it works great. It's really cool.
Awesome. And there were some aftermarket like plugins that did this, but now this is rolled into the core product in 7.10.
Don't need them now.
So we'll get into that demo. I mean, that's probably the most exciting thing to show here. And this too. This seemed like a really small thing, but it's not. When you spend a lot of time making a great dashboard, like we have one for our lead gen team here, and that takes a lot of time to lay all those out per user. So now you can lay out a great dashboard and deploy it out to, what is it, Kevin, just teams, or do you deploy it to users?
You can deploy it to teams. You can pull it into your view. You can. There's a dashboard management module, I guess they call it. Yeah, I guess they're calling it a dashboard management module, which gives you the ability to do all this. I'll show you that in a moment too.
Cool.
It's really cool. This is, for me, this is a thing that surprised me most. I knew that dashboard management was on the roadmap, but I didn't know what it was going to look like. When I saw it, I was like, this is really cool. This is grown-up stuff.
And this is actually, I think, better. The UI of this is better than some of the aftermarket plugins that existed.
Oh, much better, better. Yeah, we've used a lot of those. I've used a lot of those aftermarket plugins for managing your dashboards, and they get the job done, but they don't do it well. This does it well.
Yeah, it absolutely does. So we'll show that. What are business rules, Kevin? I actually didn't know this existed.
Yeah, business rules. Yeah, everybody knows about workflows, advanced workflows and whatnot, but business rules are kind of little building blocks, little Legos in the whole advanced workflow piece. A business rule lets you say something like, and in the olden days, legacy workflow would have been a workflow to say, if a lead comes from Wisconsin, give it to Rick. So that would have been a workflow in the olden days, but now that's a business rule, and you can repurpose those business rules in different ways. Or if there's an opportunity over $10,000, tell Sonia. Now you can use those business rules and apply them as you create workflows. So it may be a business rule can be a piece of a workflow.
Okay, and is this just an enterprise feature? If you're on Pro, you don't have this. Okay.
That's right, because advanced workflow is only in enterprise and ultimate for all you ultimate users out there. Right? I'll raise your hands. All you ultimate users. Yep, I see them. There's one, two, and the guy in the back. Yeah.
Oh, that's all right. Oh, okay, so this is less exciting, I guess, but I think there's maybe more entailed in this than I understand. So users can configure multiple SMTP accounts to send emails from Sugar. So before you could just use one, right, Exchange or whatever, and you couldn't select a second one. So now you can send out emails from Sugar using multiple addresses?
Yeah, and I think there's 3 people who do that. So it's I'm not being snarky, but most people just use an Outlook anyway. And so it's not real common to use Sugar as your email client. But for those people who do, they can now have multiple email. You know, you can have your office email address through Exchange and your personal email through Google, through Gmail. But I think there's so few people who use Sugar as a wrapper that this isn't the feature that people are going to be jumping up and down about.
Right, that's very true. Like you said, most people send their emails out of Outlook still and use the Sugar plugin, which I will mention that's been updated. So the Sugar Outlook plugins and the Word plugins and all that, sweet. It's really good. It's gotten a lot better, but you're still, those releases of the Outlook plugin don't necessarily correspond exactly with the general releases like the 7.10. So the Outlook plugin, was released like a couple of months ago, and there's some. Yeah,
OPI came out over the summer. Was it or end of summer?
And then mobile is a whole different story that was released on a different date too than the new mobile. But I will just urge everyone. I mean, we'll do separate webinars just on the Outlook plugin, but get the new Outlook plugin if you haven't updated it recently. Do that because the Sugar Outlook plugin is great.
Sweet.
It's sweet, but there are better ones out there that are aftermarket too, in case that's not enough for you. And still no support for Mac.
A point to make about updates. Right now, you're absolutely right. OPI and mobile and the core product are updated on different schedules, but Sugar is going to a regular release schedule where all these things will be released at the same time. They're not there yet, but they will be. Just a little side note, all of you folks who are at SugarCon this year would know that.
Right, all you folks. Now, the one thing that I'll throw in here, because I didn't put it in the deck, is what's the release date for this and when are people getting upgraded and all that. So I'll just kind of say this informally, that if you're on 7.8 and you're on demand, meaning you've got a, let's say BrainSell Sugar on demand or whatever your URL is. If you're Sugar on demand, that means you're hosted with Sugar. They're not going to make you guys or anyone upgrade to 7.10 until March, April. Kevin, it just got extended.
Yeah, it did just get extended to March, not April, March.
So why? Well, there are some clients that have a lot of customizations. Maybe they've got a lot of integrations, and some of the back end rules, like some of the APIs and like some coding stuff that's in the back end, changed, and it's other developers that have add-ins, and if you've customized it a certain way, it can break stuff. So if you have a highly customized system and you're not already talking with us about the upgrade process, just know that you want to hold off on the upgrades if you have a highly customized system. Probably, if we're probably already talking to you if you're one of our customers about a customized upgrade. But if you have a super vanilla system and you haven't done a ton of crazy work to it, chances are you're going to update just fine, and Sugar will know that. So they've got a little tool that they deploy that reads someone's instance and sees if it's going to break with an upgrade. Typically, they're able to catch those before they actually do the upgrade. And what's the process for that? Well, you should be getting an email saying your system is going to be upgraded in 2 weeks.
Don't ignore it. Don't ignore it.
Do not ignore that email. You should just know that it's happening, and call us if you have questions on that. But and if you're not a BrainSell client, we help. You should be, because we help people get through upgrades. Just kind of part of being with us. So
yeah, we've got an upgrade manager. Katie is focusing on that, and she's shepherding these things through. So absolutely, if you're concerned about your upgrade, give us a call, and probably Katie will help you with it. And that's we're not charging you for that. That's something that customers get as being because they're a BrainSell customer.
Yeah, the management of it. There could be
the management of it. Yeah, you may need code to get up to date. Yeah, that's a different story.
Yeah. But just know that no one's being forced to upgrade until mid-March right now. So that just buys people more time to fix integrations and get them up to speed and everything. And then of course we've had 95% of all the upgrades have gone fine, and that's just you're just upgraded when you get that email a couple weeks later, and you'll see these features appear then. If you're notice that you're not on the most current version, and we'll show you when we go to the demonstration here, and you want to be, and you have a really vanilla system, it could just be that you're not in the staging yet for an upgrade. So you can submit a support ticket through Sugar Support saying, I would like to be upgraded, and then they'll expedite that upgrade. So I just wanted to throw that in there. That's the way that Sugar works with deploying upgrades.
That's right.
Onto another feature. This is really small, but it's interesting. They're adding some filter criteria to those list view filters, and one of them is teams.
Right. What's really cool? I'm going a little off script here, but they're also going to eventually add Boolean logic, and this is part of their Sugar plans to really grow the filtering capabilities. And what you're referring to right now, adding teams, is great, multiple team selection, but also eventually soon, I hope, 2018, Boolean logic to filters, ands and ors.
What does that mean?
That's ands and ors. See, right now, if you had a filter, if you had, I want it to be everybody who's in Minnesota and California. You can only do ands. Filters are only ands.
Okay.
But they are going to add the ability for ors, Minnesota or California.
Great.
So that'll be pretty cool. But the multiple team selection is also a big deal now, and that's in 7.10. So you can filter based on multiple teams. So if you are a business that uses teams, and a lot of you do, because you use teams to manage territories, then you can say, pull up all of my East Coast and mid-US teams, or all the records in the East Coast and mid. You can kind of do that now using the is one of capability of the feature filter. That's not exactly the same as multiple team selection.
All right. That's interesting. And then we fixed some issues. They have fixed some issues. So,
always bug fixes. Always moving forward with bug fixes. That's good.
And there are a lot more than this. This is really a big one, actually. Issues with processes that contain a wait event. So this is an enterprise and not process author. Oops. That was a big thing that certain processes were breaking because a wait event wasn't being understood by the system. So that's fixed. You can log into mobile now with a thumbprint. That was before. Now you can even access Sugar from touchscreen devices. That's interesting. So Kevin, let's move on. Move on to your demonstration. So we're going to flip screens here.
You want to? Ooh.
Yep. And
hope I can handle this.
Very briefly and swiftly here, we're going to be going through drill down reports, maybe some of the business rules and sharing dashboards. And we do have a question here. This is a good one from Rachel. Did they fix the SAML login issues?
SAML. Yes, SAML is part of this update. I don't know if they fixed what you're referring to, Rachel, but SAML repairs, and there are some SAML bug fixes that have been rolled into this release, yes. I don't know if it's everything that you're asking about, but SAML upgrades are in this release, yes.
Okay, and we'll include, as part of the follow-up, we'll include a link to the release notes so you can drill down in there and look at all the detailed, very nerdy stuff, Rachel, and probably find the answer in there too.
Very nerdy stuff. I resemble that.
Okay, so this looks good. I can see your screen.
Yes, you can. Good. I've logged in here as for you who are familiar with Sugar's demos. Jim. Jim's a business user, VP of Sales. I'm going to have to log out again and log back in as an administrator to show you some other stuff. But for now, I just wanted to show you some of the new things that we're going to see. This is dashboards, okay? Over here, Jim can manage dashboards. Now, Jim's not a full administrator. Full administrators can do other things, but Jim can manage his dashboards. I'll show you what this entails. He's got a couple of dashboards here, his special home dashboard and his. This looks like other records inside Sugar, other modules inside Sugar. You can filter, and you see the filters that we were just talking about. I can also edit these dashboards, change the details of them, or delete them right from here. Now, how do I share it? Well, if I've got the ability to, if I'm allowed to, I can push this out to different teams here. I can push this out to different users here. I'm going to show you more about this as an administrator in a moment. Let me go back to my home page. Another thing that's really cool that we really like is the ability to drill down into reports. So I've got a favorite report, opportunities by sales stage. It's an out-of-the-box report. And oh, by the way, in the latest version of Sugar, they've increased the number of canned reports. I think there's now 30 some odd canned reports. Yeah, there used to be 28 canned reports, and now there's 36. Not sure the exact number. It's more than 30, in the 30s. Here's a canned report called Opportunities by Sales Stage. I modified this slightly for demonstration purposes. But you see this chart here? These are opportunities broken up by sales stage, the perception analysis stage, the close one. Everybody's familiar with this. But if I click on it now, look what it does. It opens that drawer. This is the Sugar drawer, and it's showing me all the opportunities that fall into that closed one. Notice how you've got the hatch markings over here? It's showing me that I'm in the closed one subgroup of this report, and it gives me a list of all these opportunities that match that criteria. It is, it is. Now, look, this is also a list view here.
But can you change, I'm going to spoiler alert this too, can you click on qualification, the purple area, and will it change dynamically in this view?
If I do this, yes, it does. Ain't that cool?
Cool.
Now, here's what else. Now, this is as a sales manager. I like to pretend to be a sales manager every so often. I could click on this and jump out of it, or I can preview. So I can see what's going on for these opportunities. I don't have to leave my report. I'm still really in the report underneath, right? I think this is really cool. We've got afterburner opportunities, and I've been using this in a dev instance to look at afterburner opportunities. That's what we call it. Everybody, it's our little phrase we call afterburner opportunities, really cool ones. But this is a great tool to look at groups of opportunities or groups of anything.
And then, Kev, from the front dashboard, is that affected by drill through reports? So
now the front dashboard, if you go back to the home page here,
yeah.
No, it's not. I'm still not drilling through here. You got to actually be in the report to do drill downs. The drill down does not occur in dashlets. It only occurs in dashboards. You can click through to some things, like you could click through to end records. You could always do that. I just click through to a revenue line item.
Sure.
So you can always click through to end records, even in dashlets. Okay. But to click through in subgroups, that's only when you're in a report.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know.
Now, as you're all wondering, this is only applicable to charts. Drill downs are only applicable to charts because you could always add links and drill downs here, and you could see the groupings here.
Yep.
So what's new is the ability to drill down in charts. So this is only applicable to charts. And Sonia, I'm not looking at the questions list, so if you've got any questions, please feel free to interrupt me. I'm just not paying attention to the questions list.
Yeah, I don't have any right now, but guys, please feel free to put those questions in there for sure.
Now, another thing that I want to do here is show you even though not a lot of people are going to use it, I want to show you that new emails module. This looks just like any other email or any other record or any other module inside the Sugar 7.x architecture. So this is a great example of emails. Likewise, quoting, although we saw quoting in a previous version of Sugar. It's not unique to 710. You'll be able to see, if you remember, if you drill down into manufacturers or shipping providers, other things that you would see as an administrator through the administrative interface, that's now all in the 7.x architecture. Likewise, contracts. I don't see my contracts in my menu list. Sorry, it must be hidden in this demo. But contracts, currencies, manufacturers, things that some people are only going to see as administrators, but this is all in the new architecture. If you drill down into an email, likewise, this is in the new architecture. You're going to see this email record.
Great.
Although I think the individual records were brought up to speed in a previous version. So now I'm going to log out as this guy here, and I'm going to log in as an administrator so you can see some other stuff. I'm logging in as the administrator. There's access to more things. She's got a different dashboard, not unexpected, but when she manages, she may be able to do more. I can go into this dashboard. This is a dashboard record, okay? I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to push this dashboard out, not just the Jim Brennan team, but I'm going to push this out to, and this is a standard interface that anybody can use. I'm going to push this out to the entire Latin American team, LATAM. So this is how you can share dashboards. You can push these out. Now what will happen is anybody who's on that LATAM team will see this dashboard in their list of dashboards under the SugarCube or the Home tab. They'll see all the dashboards they've got available. What you can't do is you're not forcing into a layout. You're just making these dashboards available to the end users. The end users still have the ability to rearrange if you've given them that capability. Remember, that's something that's been around since Sugar 1, the ability to rearrange or lock down dashboards.
But they'll just see it in their drop-down when you
they'll see it in their drop-down, yeah. And they can take that dashboard and use it. They can rearrange it and do stuff with it. Now the dashboard module is just like any other module. You might notice me paging through this. This is important to note, the dashboard module follows Sugar's built-in permissioning. So if I created, this dashboard, the home dashboard was originally, my special home dashboard was originally Jim's. The administrator has access to it because the administrator can override stuff, but nobody else until the administrator share it would have had access to Jim's stuff. So it is going to honor the permissions that Jim sets up.
Good. And
that's why Jim couldn't go in and do other things to it. Only the administrator could. You can also make this the default dashboard. So in this case, I could force people to see it by making it their default dashboard when they log in. So now, by making it the default, Jim and the Latin American team are going to see this dashboard as their default when they first log in.
Neat.
It is kind of cool, isn't it?
Very. And can I put you on the spot for business rules next?
I'm going into, that's exactly what I was going to next. Everybody knows about processes, process definitions. Business rules are part of the process definition. So the lead routing process may take advantage of business rules. I'll show you real quick how this works, and then I'm going to jump into the business rule. This stuff in here comes from a business rule, okay? And this is a pretty standard, lead routing process. Now let's go into the business rules. Here's a lead routing rule. I always preview over here like normal, but now I'm going to design. And you can see things about the lead routing rules here. If the lead source equals cold call, return a value 4 and assign it to James Fitzpatrick. In the olden days, this would have been a workflow. The legacy workflow, this is kind of like a legacy workflow. Business rules, they've been around since Sugar added advanced workflows. Business rules have been part of it. But you could never do this. You could never rearrange things. You can't change. You can do a lot more with the business rules now. This interface is new. If you're familiar with the older interface, it was a little clunky, didn't quite make sense, but you can do more to it now. So the interface is completely different. Gives you the ability to drag and drop, gives you the ability to affect things en masse, delete. It gives you the ability to, it's just a better interface. Resort, I'm going to deselect here, and then change things. So the interface is new and much better.
Great.
Just like any other module, I can see the business rules here, but it's in the design that's new and different. And by the way, the stuff that this is the routing rules. What do you do based on routing? This is going to be very important, and combine this with Teams, and you've got kind of a de facto territory manager here. Anything that comes from Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, or Wyoming is part of the Northwest Territory. So the business rules, this is something that's one of those features, those hidden features that if you take advantage of it properly, it can give you a territory manager or other stuff. It's one of those hidden gems inside Sugar.
Excellent.
I'm going to take a sip of my cool, refreshing beverage.
What else were you going to show? Because I think we're pretty much near the end of the awesome showable features now.
The awesome showable features. Any questions from the audience here?
I have no questions in the questions
oh my
box.
Gosh.
I know.
Okay.
Please put them in the questions box if you would, if you guys have any remaining questions.
Filtering is another, multiple team selection is another thing that we could touch on. But when you create filters, you can select teams like this. I'm assigning individual users, but you could also select teams, and then you can just say, see if I remember. No, Philip's not I can't remember the names here. There's Jen. Multiple selection. This is this kind of thing's been around for a while, but applying it to teams is new.
Great.
So I think that is the end of our our awesome demos.
Yes, I believe it is. And we have answering a question here really quick on the, I'd mentioned that maybe we'll do a webinar on the Outlook plugin at some point. We don't have that scheduled, but if that's something that is enticing to people, then we can absolutely make that part of our schedule going forward.
I think it's important to note here that I've only scratched the surface for demos. There's entire training sections on like dashboard management. So if people want more, our customers should give us a call. We can help them out. There's a lot more that I haven't gone into because this is only a 45-minute webinar.
That's right. So I'm going to make myself the presenter here and just put up a contact screen, because that really is the end of our very quick webinar to go over the most recent edition of Sugar, which is 7.10, not 7.1, 7.10. So we'll stick around for a little bit here on mute to answer any questions that come through. But again, you'll get a copy of this recording plus a link to the actual release notes by Sugar. And if you have any questions on upgrades, please let us know. You can contact your BrainSell contact or simply through this information on the screen here. And Kevin, thanks very much for your time today. I appreciate the show and tell.
Of course. Happy to do it.
All right, everyone. Thank you and have a great Wednesday.